Well, hello everyone, welcome back to the Teal House. We need to clean out the freezer today because tomorrow I have a whole hog coming in and I gotta make sure I have room for it. Those are all tomatoes, so we need to do some sauce making, and then I have a couple other things I think we need to get put up as well, so we have as much room as possible for the pork that is coming in. There's all those, still obviously frozen solid from the freezer. We're just gonna let them chill for a couple hours, or de-chill for a couple hours so that the skin slip right off. I also have not very much, but some pork sausage left from the last hog we get, so I think I'm gonna can this as well today. We want to thaw it safely, so it'd either be 24 hours in the refrigerator or we can do it in some room temp water, which I think is, we're gonna fill this sink up. See, these are 2 pounds, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 pounds. We should get quite a few pints on the shelf. I have no canned sausage left in my pantry, which is why I want to do this partly. One is also to clean out the freezer, but also I like having canned sausage on the shelf because you can go from the shelf to some biscuits and gravy really fast without any defrosting or having to cook the sausage. And so typically I will can some as sausage crumbles, just the ground sausage for that, and then I also can some sausage patties so that you could have breakfast sausage patties really quickly as well. We are going to follow the USDA recommendations for canning meat, so we'll show you how to do it. I might just do sausage crumbles this time. I haven't quite decided. I also have this small bag of peppers. So I think with the tomatoes, we're gonna do a lot of sauce, and then if I feel like it's just way too much sauce, we might also make some more rotel. And if not, that's not really that many peppers, I'll use them anyway, so we might not use those up. The difference here, ooh, that fan is so loud, I'm sorry. There. The difference here is sauce, we're going to follow USDA guidelines specific recipe. The rotel does not have a USDA specific recipe. I do try to follow the rules though with canning tomatoes. So I say all this to say, while we're doing this and showing you the recipes, I will link USDA approved recipes below for your safety, but to know that the rotel itself is not an actual recipe from the USDA website. It's my own recipe, so you decide how comfortable you are with utilizing it. Anyway, right now, we're just going to be in the waiting period. So I'm going to eat some lunch and then we'll come back and that sausage should be about ready for us to get started with.
Let's go. First thing we got to do is open up all that sausage. I've decided I'm going to do half as patties, half as ground sausage. So we should end up with 4 quarts of the patties, and I'm not quite sure about the ground sausage. We'll kind of figure that as we go along. I do the patties in quarts though because we're a larger family and I'm going to need more than 4 or 5 patties for a breakfast, and that's about what you can fit in a pint. So I can fit about 8 in a quart. So you're gonna just smash them into patties, whatever size you want. Just make sure they're small enough they'll fit through the neck of a wide mouth jar. You're gonna brown them for 2 minutes on each side, not trying to cook them all the way through, just browning them so they hopefully stay together through the canning process. Then you have your clean and warm jars. You're going to put your warm patties inside the jar, and you just try to kind of stack them. You can press them a little bit, don't press too hard because they'll break. And just line them up in the jar that way. And then on the stove, I've boiled some water. You can also use broth for this, but I'm gonna use water because that's just easier, and brought it to a boil. And now we're gonna top off those patties. We want 1 inch of head space in the jar. Once we've got them filled with the boiling water, you do wanna debubble these just to make sure to gently knock those patties around, get any air bubbles out. Wipe your rings with a clean, damp cloth, and then add your lids. Now, I did slightly break a rule here. I was 1 lid short and I didn't realize, so that is a reused lid. You're technically not supposed to, but this lid was not bent at all, had no rust, was still in really good shape, so it should be fine. The danger of reusing the disposable lids is that the seal isn't any good anymore, or the lid is bent from the last time you open it and then it won't seal and you'll lose all your hard work. We're gonna put the lid on our canner. We need a chimney of steam coming out of the side for 10 minutes, then we can drop our weight on. The meat is going to be 10 pounds pressure for 90 minutes for those quart jars. So while we're waiting for that to get going, we're going to brown our ground sausage that we're going to keep in crumbles. Again, we don't need to cook it all the way through. We're just browning it. It helps get excess fat out of the sausage so that we don't get all that fat in the jar. It also helps shrink it up a little bit so that the contents in the jar stay about the same volume. Again, we're gonna top it off with boiling water. The math is basically a half pound in each pint jar, but it doesn't work out quite perfectly that way, but you can use that math to be pretty certain that you have enough jars prepared. Again, these jars are clean, they are warm, because we're going to fill them with really hot water. We don't want them to crack or burst on us. Wipe your rims of your jars, then go ahead and add those clean lids and your rings. And at that point I realized I never brought my second canner upstairs, so we're not gonna be able to put those in anything. So quick run to the basement, got that canner loaded, got it locked down. Again, 10 minutes of steam, and then these are pints, so it is going to be 10 pounds pressure for 75 minutes. While those canners are going, because obviously it takes a while, we're gonna get started on the tomatoes, and I have lots of helping hands for this. These tomatoes were frozen and now they're partially defrosted, which means that the skins will just slide right off. So we have a bowl to put the skins in. We'll be tossing those in the compost pile. And then if there's any bad spots or real woody cores in the tomatoes, I'm gonna go ahead and drop those in the compost pile too. And everything else goes in the pot. Now you can see this tomato is slightly green. You can throw a few of those in there and it'll be just fine, but you want to use mostly ripe tomatoes. When you're making sauce with tomatoes, you're gonna think, no way am I gonna get all those tomatoes in this pot. You will, because it boils down quite a lot. Every few minutes, Ivy comes over and crushes the tomatoes down, and then I siphon off the excess juice because I don't want watery tomato sauce, and that juice we will actually can later for tomato juice. And then we just repeat that process over and over until we have fit all 5 of those Walmart bags in this pot. And this pot's probably, I don't know, maybe 3-gallon pot. You want to make sure you use a non-aluminum pot for your tomato products, by the way. So this is an enameled pot. You could also use a stainless steel one like this metal one is right here, but do not use aluminum when doing tomato products. We collected all that juice from crushing those tomatoes. We're going to bring that to a boil. We're also going to hit the sauce with an immersion blender to blend it all together, and we're just going to let it simmer down until it's the consistency that I like. For the tomato juice, we have our clean and warm quart jars, and we're adding half of a teaspoon of citric acid to each jar. I used to add the citric acid on top, but when I went and reviewed the recipe, it actually mentioned in the recipe to put it in first. I don't know that it actually makes a difference because the active pressure canning is going to make all the contents in the jar jiggle around, but I figure I should follow the steps precisely anyway. You only need a 1/2 inch headspace for tomato juice. Go ahead and wipe those rims again, as always, so that you don't have any residue to prevent a seal. And then you can go ahead and add your lids and your rings. Tomato juice is kind of a cool one. People always ask, why are there extra settings on a pressure canner if everything is like 10 pounds pressure or 11 pounds pressure? It's because some things, like these high acid foods, don't need all that pressure. You can process your tomato juice at 6 pounds pressure if it's a dial gauge. They say 5 pounds if it's a weighted gauge. But you can also process it at the typical pressure for a shorter amount of time. So if you want to do 5 pounds pressure, it's going to be 20 minutes for those quarts. But if you want to use the typical 10 pounds, it's only 15 minutes. You can also water bath both tomato juice and tomato sauce. I'm choosing to pressure can just because I already have them set up here. We fill our next jars with citric acid, again, 1/2 teaspoon in a quart, top them off with the tomato sauce that we made, wipe those rings, add our lids, and then into the canner they go. That's the same. It's going to be 20 minutes at 6 pounds or 15 minutes at 10 pounds. Look at all that work. Feels good to have that done. It was a long day, but we got a lot of things done. 24 hours later, I come through, I remove all of the rings for storage. This helps prevent false seals. It also saves the integrity of the rings so you can use them over and over and over again. Make sure you label your jars. I chose not to spice my tomato sauce today. You probably noticed that. I will just spice it when I open it for a recipe. I've been using a lot more recipes now lately that just use plain tomato sauce in them. And so I decided I didn't want to make a spiced spaghetti sauce this year. I just wanted to keep it plain. Thanks so much for watching. Happy canning, and we'll see you all next time.